Hare Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagijatam Sagana Raghunatam Tam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishnaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gaurachishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radhananta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome everyone to this value class, seeking blessings at the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada, our previous acharyas, all our spiritual masters, and assembled Vaishnavas, especially our Krishna Shanta Mataji. We'd like to talk on the topic of forgiveness, a topic which is very much needed for each one of us. So let me start by telling two stories from the life of Tukaram Maharaj. Of course, the level of forgiveness that Tukaram Maharaj shows in his pastimes as a devotee are of highest level, and we cannot really imagine to be there immediately or very soon, but we can hope for or pray for to come to that level of forgiveness, right? So first, let's look at those stories, and then we'll try to see in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, in which all places Prabhupada mentions about forgiveness and how he defines forgiveness, right? And at the end, then I would like to take some sections from the writings of His Holiness Bhakti Swami Maharaj, where he gives us very practical tips on how we can learn to forgive and why is it important for us. So, regarding Tukaram Maharaj, there are these two stories. And while Tukaram Maharaj was living in his town, or you can say his village, Dehu, right? So there, a Brahmin was very envious of him. You know, you have heard the story of Tukaram Maharaj. Yes? Have you seen the movie on Tukaram Maharaj? The black and white movie? Yes. It's a beautiful movie. Old movie, very beautiful movie. So, this Brahmana was envious of him like anything. Why? Because Tukaram Maharaj was getting so popular. Everyone would love to sing his abhangas, attend his sessions. No one would go for this dry ritualistic pujas of this Brahmana, chanting of mantras. And he became very, very envious. Oh, I am a Brahmana. I know the scriptures. I have studied the Puranas and the Vedas. And this fellow is low-born. He doesn't know any Shastra. And he is getting more respect than me. I deserve that respect. I deserve that attention. People should adore me, follow me, like me on YouTube and Facebook. something like that. So he got that kind of feeling towards Tukaram Maharaj, envy. Someone who is envious of us, in a very subtle sense, we start accepting that person as an enemy, right? That this person is not my enemy because that person doesn't like my success. So 2 times he did 2 different things. Once, because he was so envious, Tukaram Maharaj was getting back to his house at night. He was walking on the street. So in the dark, this Brahmana, he approached Tukaram Maharaj with a thorny bush, and he started beating Tukaram Maharaj with a thorny bush. So his whole body was full of cuts and bruises, and blood was pouring out. And he was so much in pain that he just fell down on the street. Very difficult for him to even lift up his body and walk back home. So whole night he was lying on the street, crying in pain and agony. But while doing that, he was not thinking, who is this rascal who came and did this to me? What have I done to him? He was thinking, everything that happens in our life happens because of our past karma. So I must have done something wrong to someone. And it seems to me, because this person has so much hatred towards me that he beat me like this, I must have done a very serious offense towards him. Something very, very serious. So like that he started thinking. And he was thinking, when I get well, the first thing is, I'll try to find out who this person is and go and ask forgiveness to this person. I might have done some grave offense to you that you became so angered that you came and beat me. So later on he came to know who that person was. So he went and fell down at the feet of that person and said, please forgive me. What wrong did I do? And he was not asking that in a complaining mood. He was asking that in this mood that, tell me my mistakes so that I don't do it again. Looking at this attitude of Tukaram Maharaj, that person he melted. Actually it was my mistake. Why are you asking for forgiveness? Now another incident, there was this Pandit Brahmana known as Rameshwar Bhatt, and he told Tukaram Maharaj, you are writing these abhangas, these are the self-compositions, not authorized, not in parampara. When I give discourses, I speak from the Vedas and Puranas. So mine is authentic, yours is imaginative, speculative. So you have done a big sin, that you are writing your own scriptures. Though great sages have given their scriptures, you are writing your own songs. So proud, you are not even a Brahmana, you don't have knowledge. Okay, if you are initiated as a Brahmana, you are chanting Gayatri, knowledge is revealed in the heart, so you can write your songs. But neither you have studied, nor the knowledge is getting revealed. So you are doing a big sin. And you are doing a greater sin by writing this and singing this to people. So you are contaminated, you are contaminating other people also. And Tukaram Maharaj thought, he's a Brahmana, he knows the Shastras, so perhaps he's right, and I'm wrong. Yes, maybe I'm sinful, I should not compose these songs. But he was still thinking, what songs am I composing? In my songs, you just find the names of Vittala, you find the glories of Ekadashi, you find the glories of Guru Bhakti, Vaishnava Seva, and I'm talking about devotees like Dhruva and Prahlad. So what is sinful in that? So now he was in a dilemma, that a Brahmana, scholarly Brahmana is telling that he is sinful, but his heart is telling him he's not sinful. So the inner voice is, you're okay, you're fine, nothing wrong about it. But the Brahmana is telling he is scholarly. So he was crying now, what to do. But I promised to that Brahmana, 3 promises did. I'll not compose any more abhanga, I'll not sing these abhangas even in private, means not to myself also, and I'll drown all my abhangas in the river Indayani. How many of you have been to Pandharpur? It's not there, of course. Anyone else? Pandharpur? No, not yet. It's a nice place, beautiful place.
I've been to the Indayani as well.
Yes.
To the place where he drowned his abhangas.
It's a beautiful place. You should go sometime. Very beautiful holy place, Pandharpur. So, he was now in a dilemma and he was crying. So he was sitting below the tree at the bank of Indayani. And he was thinking, should I put or not? Should I down them or not? But this is my life and soul. Without them, how will I live? It was like his proud possession. This is all that I have, my compositions, my love towards Panduranga. So he was chanting Panduranga, Panduranga and crying. Now he cannot even sing the Abhanga because he promised to the Brahmana, I cannot sing my own Abhangas. So he was crying. And at that time, his wife, his children, they all come there. The whole family is very morose. And keeping a heavy stone on his heart, he took the bundle of Abhangas and put that in the river and drank. Now there are different editions of this story. Like one edition is that the mother Indrayani, the goddess, she came out bringing the bundle of Abhangas and said, take it back. And the other version is that when he did so, the next day in the morning, when the pujari opened the darshan of Vithala, he found that the Vitthal was holding this bundle of Abhangas on his head. And the Abhangas were still wet. So he was amazed, what is this? And when he checked, he opened, he found this is Tukaram's writing, this is Tukaram's Abhangas. So the news spread all across the village, everyone came to know, and that Brahmana came running at the feet of Tukaram Maharaj, fell down there and said, please forgive me. Your Abhangas are more better than the Vedas, because Krishna is lifting them on his head. So it is higher than the Vedas and the Puranas, because Krishna is accepting it. So then he fell at the feet of Tukaram Maharaj and begged for forgiveness. And what did Tukaram Maharaj say? You are a Brahmana. You should not beg forgiveness from me. If you beg forgiveness from me, that will be a greater sin for me to accept it. So you should not beg forgiveness. And then he said, but I did so much wrong to you. And Tukaram Maharaj said, no, actually by your doing so, the whole world has come to know that my Abhangas are accepted by Panduranga. He said earlier people might have some doubt, right? But now they have praman, sakshat praman, that Tukaram's Abhangas are accepted by Panduranga. So he said, you are my dear friend. You made me more close to Panduranga and Panduranga more close to me. So what about forgiveness? You have not done anything wrong. So you can see here in these two stories how pure devotees of Krishna, they show a very high level of forgiveness. Very, very high level of forgiveness. And that forgiveness is born of the quality of compassion. And of course gratitude towards Krishna. So let's look at Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, where does Srila Prabhupada talk about forgiveness? He talks about it at many places, but I just took some references just to give you an idea what forgiveness means as per him and what he expects. Like he mentions in 1.36, when Arjuna says that I will not fight, so there he mentions in the purport, yes, Arjuna's mentality is correct. Saintly persons are advised to forgive. Saintly person should be like that. And then in 10.4 and 5, when Krishna mentions everything comes from me, even the devas and the sages cannot understand me. So there he mentions the good qualities that are born of him. And there again he mentions forgiveness, Shama. So there Prabhupada says, forgiveness means one should excuse the minor offenses of others. Now it is very interesting, if only in one place Prabhupada might have used the word minor. But when I was searching through the Veda ways, I found in many places Prabhupada uses the word minor. Which means what? Prabhupada is not saying forgiveness means you should just tolerate an exploitation. Right? In many places he uses the word minor. That you should forgive minor offenses. Not offenses which have crossed a limit. Minor offenses, he says. Right? And then, when I was reading the writings of Bhakti Swami Maharaj, he mentioned something very similar there also. That forgiveness does not mean that you are artificially humble that people can walk on you or trample your feet. That's not forgiveness. So let's read further. 9 qualifications of a human being are mentioned by Vishnu Pitama. And out of those 9 qualifications, one is to forgive. A human being should learn to forgive. Then Prabhupada mentions, to get freedom from anger, one should learn to forgive. If you want to control anger, you should learn how to forgive. Then in Srimad Bhagavatam he says, advancement in Krishna consciousness involves developing the quality of forgiveness. In Nectar of Instruction, what does he say? Advancement in Krishna consciousness
Depends on the attitude.
depends on the attitude of the follower. Right? Here he says advancement in Krishna consciousness involves developing the quality of forgiveness. Another place he said, it is said that the beauty of an austere person is that austere person is he is forgiving in nature. He forgives. And another reference, the real feature of a devotee is who undergoes austerity and forgives. So these are very short, lines by Prabhupada about forgiveness. What he mentions about forgiveness. Okay. So now let me ask you a question. Give me examples of devotees who were really, really done bad by others, but they forgive. Okay, very good. Durvasa, forgive? or was he forgiven? Amrish Raj. Haridas Thakur, and with whom? Let's mention the pair like Prahlad and Hiranyakashipu, Durvasa and Amrish. So Haridas Thakur and
Peter is
the what do you call it? The guards, right? And the king. What was the name of the king? Or is the king? No, not Hussein Shah. Hussein Shah was the king for Rupa and Sanatan. Huh? Ramchandra Khan? No? That was the king's name, right? No. What was the name? I also forgot. Who sent the prostitute also, and who sent these people to beat also. What is the name?
Ramchandra.
Ramchandra Khan, right? Yeah, that's what is claiming Ramchandra. Okay, any other example? Forgive?
Nityanand Prabhu and Jagayanand Prabhu.
No, Jagayanand. Yes. What else? What else? Examples of forgiveness.
Dhruva Maharaj, he forgave his stepmother after
Dhruv Maharaj, yes, very good example. Stepmother's mother name?
Suruchi.
Suruchi. Prahlad Maharaj given, yes, example.
Draupadi and Ashwath.
Very good, Draupadi and Ashwathama. Nice episode, she forgives. Right? What else?
Jadabharata, when he was kind of like ill-treated by all the people, they were also urinating on him, but...
Okay, good. What else? Some other example. Forgiveness. Forgiven.
Jamila.
Who forgave him?
Yamduta.
Yamuna has forgiven.
Lord Ramchandra,
Forgiven.
Kaikeyi.
Very good. Yes, Lord Ramchandra forgave. And he told Darshan Maharaj, forgive her. But let's talk about Vaishnava. God can easily forgive her. Vaishnava. Devotee. One more examples are coming.
I think
Let's scan Bhagavata, Mahabharata, Ramayana, Chaitanya Charitamrita.
I don't know if Jagai or Madai, when they became Vaishnavas after the incident. So there was the story when someone threw the brick or stone at him and hit him on his head, and so he just brought the stone back to the thrower and he said, "Throw it again because I'm a big sinner." So he just forgave him.
Good.
Vidura forgave Duryodhana.
Vidura forgave Duryodhana.
An offense to him in a large percent.
Yeah, but is it mentioned anywhere like
Bhagavatam, it's mentioned.
forgiven? Okay. What else? Parikshit Maharaj forgave?
Shringi.
The boy, right? He forgave him. As Prabhupada mentions, he was a pure devotee. He could have counteracted the curse, right? He would have even cursed back that boy, but he forgave. Krishna's Ichha, Hari Ichha, right? Any other example?
5 children of Pandavas were killed, and the mother forgave.
Ashwatthama. Yeah, yes, that example we did. Prithu Maharaj forgave? Forgave whom?
Her mother.
Prithu Maharaj. Indra. Right? He was going to punish him. And the Lord came, no, it's okay. Let him go. Forgive them. Right? You're superior. Isn't it? Just do 99 and be satisfied. Really. So we have such examples, correct? Forgiven. You know this pastime, right? You wanted to do 100 year prayers and Indra was again and again interfering. There's so many such examples of Vaishnavas forgiving. Any other?
Srila Prabhupada himself forgiving his god brothers and also some disciples who left him, but when they returned back realizing their mistake, he accepted them.
He accepted them, he forgave them. Yes. I remember that pastime Srila Prabhupada was in his last days, sleeping on his bed, and the devotee approached Srila Prabhupada, like god brother. And Srila Prabhupada was saying, now it's my final days. So now throughout my life I've been a very, very strong person, speaking very harshly and strongly. So please forgive me for those words. And then that devotee said, no, Swamiji, forget it. You are our eternal leader. So that's your job. You should push us. So
Didn't Prabhupada want to invite some of his good brothers so he could personally ask
yes,
forgiveness?
he even did that. That I would like to meet all of you and ask for forgiveness. Yes, he even did that. So Prabhupada did yes. So we have such examples, so many examples, right? Now let us look at some advantages of forgiveness. If I forgive, what are the advantages? If I forgive, what are the advantages?
Keeping the grudge in your heart is like holding coal in your hand.
Burning coal.
Burning coal.
Yes.
And you're hurting yourself.
You're hurting yourself. What else?
We will be forgiven, and it also makes us our heart lighter and also develop this quality of having compassion on others.
Thank you. Any other point?
Your consciousness becomes clear.
Clear. Yeah. Yes. You become more, mindful of the present. Otherwise, we are always living in the past. He did this. She said that. That's always going on. So then you start living in the present, and you are then thinking about the future. Otherwise, we are always holding the past with us. So yes, it makes you clear. Yes, Madhusudana.
It develops humility.
It helps you develop humility because when you forgive, you have to accept the fact that what has happened to you has happened because of your own past karma.
Reduces anger.
It reduces anger, yes.
Here's one advantage. It pleases Krishna, also helps one advance in spirituality because by forgiving someone, you burn up your bad karma.
Very good, thank you. Yes, by forgiving someone, you are actually getting rid of the karma. Now, very important and good point she mentioned. Try to understand it now technically. Let's say someone has done something wrong to me. So that is an action performed by that person. What will be the reaction of that action? That I will be put in a situation in future where I'll get an opportunity to harm that person. That's how the law of karma functions. Let's say someone did something to you in the past life. So sometime the material nature will make an arrangement that the material nature will put you in a situation where you will get a chance to do the same thing to that person. Same thing. The material nature will put such an arrangement. Exactly the same thing will be, a chance will be given to you, an opportunity. Now if I am not forgiving in nature, I'll easily succumb to the temptation of taking revenge. And when I succumb to the temptation of taking revenge, actually I am again making that karma bond stronger. Because now when I take revenge, then this will create a new karma. And then that person will be put in a situation that person can then take revenge with me. Then it goes on and on and on and on between two people. And that's how all our relationships are there in this world. Actually, the people whom we are meeting in this life, if you study it from the point of love karma, you've already met them sometime in the past lives. They're just coming back to you, in some way to help you either increase your burden of karma or decrease it. So it's not that first time you're meeting a person actually. There might be some interaction in the past, somehow that that then you're brought into a situation, now you can do something to that person or take something from that person. So if I'm not forgiving in nature, I will react. And when I react, then that person will get another chance in future to react back. And then it goes on and on and on and on and on. But once I forgive, I've broken that chain, that link, that cycle. Free. Now I am free. From that relationship, whatever it is. Yeah.
How we can connect this particular subject to the minor and not minor things? Which ones we say, okay, now I don't forgive because that was too cross the line,
Will we?
Oh.
Will understand. Well, it's coming. Like what is minor and what is not minor. Fine. So this is any other benefit of forgiveness?
I think one who is forgiving contributes to the overall peace and harmony of the society.
Yeah.
And becomes a very good example for others.
Yes. Very good. Yes. Any other point?
It brings us closer to Krishna,
How?
like by forgiving,
How?
we become humble, and then in our difficult times we remember Krishna. So,
Okay. What else? Yes.
It also helps us to cultivate the mood of being a servant, because one who is not forgiving, he always has that grudge inside, and he wants to be the controller.
Yes.
He's always looking why things are not happening my way.
Correct. Yes. So you are more in the mood of a das, sevak, rather than swami. Try to forgive, right? And you increase your acceptance ability. Let's accept the way the life is coming to me, right? You learn to tolerate. It increases your acceptance, accepting more and more and more and more. Forgive. Yes.
Yes, it increases our surrender to Krishna because when you say it's acceptance, we don't rebel. And this idea of that not a blade of grass moves without the consent of Krishna. So whatever happens to us, not only it's karma, it's one thing, but the other thing that Krishna allowed it to happen.
Correct.
This is very important
Yes.
to understand. Krishna has allowed it to happen, so how can I not
Accept it.
accept it?
Yes. Yes. So what Mataji is saying is very correct. For ordinary people, it's just karma. For a devotee, it's a higher perspective that even if it was not my karma, Krishna allowed it, so I should accept it. Right? And sometimes Krishna may even do things which are not really our karma to help us in our spiritual life. It's Krishna's interference. Not that it was actually supposed to be part of your prarabdha, but Krishna has introduced something new in your life just to help you in your spiritual growth. So I see more of Krishna's hand than my own karma. But from people's perspective who are not devotees, they can understand even from the law of karma perspective, forgiveness is a very good quality because it helps them to come out of that bondage of karma. Right? Any other benefits?
Mental peace.
Mental peace, yes, very nice. You'll be peaceful. Bhakti Maharaj says, if you learn to forgive, you'll never get into depression. You'll never get into depression. Yes.
When we are forget someone, other person mind can't be changed. Because
Very good point, yes.
He says that I do such a nonsense thing to him, but he is so wonderful person that he does not feel envious to me.
Correct.
So that's why this person minds can't be changed.
Very good.
He become dear to us.
Correct. Thank you. So he says, Bhakti Maharaj even at this point, he says, the energy of the quality of forgiveness is higher than the energy of the quality of hatred. So if that person is hating you, but you forgive that person, your energy will overpower that person's energy. And then that person will also try to change. So that's another good point, advantage. So who can do that? Who can have this kind of attitude? Who is so selfless in nature? Right, devotees. Who is always thinking about how to help the other person. para dukkha dukhi. He can think like this, right? Not a person who is always thinking about this, about oneself, selfish. That person cannot think like this, right? Any other last point?
Prabhu, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about 28 or some odd number of qualities, and this quality of forgiveness is the seed to many other qualities like patience, tolerance. Like for example, one could be tolerant, but he might be having internal grudge with him. But whereas when one is forgiving, it leads to other good qualities as well.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so now let's read what Bhakti Maharaj writes. Very interesting points, and like Prabhu asked, what is that mind and nature, or how to deal with that. So first of all, he says that the easiest way to forgive someone is you see that person as a part of God, connected to Krishna. If you see that person disconnected from Krishna, you cannot forgive. You should see that person as connected to Krishna. Mamayivamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. All the jivas are connected to Krishna. They belong to Krishna. So he says, develop this vision that everyone is connected to Krishna. Right? Prabhupada mentions Pritak Bhavam in Sanskrit. Pritak Bhavam means to see everything disconnected from Krishna. But the real attitude should be everyone is connected to Krishna, whether that person is a divine soul or a divine soul. Right? So that's what he says. He says that if someone attacks you, you should look upon the experience as God's arrangement for your growth. There are no accidents in this universe. In fact, your loving perception might uplift that person's consciousness. And that person might change. Okay? Then next he says, practicing forgiveness helps you live in the present. Why? Because you will not let the past haunt you. And you can have then a brighter future because you are living in the present, preparing for the future. So when we forgive, we let go of many anxieties. And now, very important point, what is forgiveness and what is it not? Very important point, right? So let's read. I'll read as it is. Answer. Someone asked him a question. What is forgiveness and what is it not? So he says, the question is again, it's easy to forgive someone if the other person changes. But if the person does not change his behavior or even acknowledge that I was wrong, then it's very difficult to forgive that person. So, and that change may not happen immediately. Correct? It may take 10, 20 years for that person to change. So how can you start forgiving that person right now? So the question continues, how do we forgive a person who may continue to hurt us without feelings of remorse? So Maharaj replied, forgiveness does not mean that we turn ourselves into a punching bag so that others can continuously throw blows at us. Nor does it mean that we become a doormat for others to walk over and wipe their feet. People should certainly remove themselves from a position in which they function as the target of another's attacks. So he says, forgiveness does not mean the following points at first. We feel that the person or people who hurt us should be allowed to continue. That is not forgiveness. That, okay, you are hurting me, continue hurting me. That's not forgiveness. Okay. Second, we feel that what they have done was not really so bad. It's okay, it happens. I accept it. No. You don't start, appreciating that person's deeds. That what you have done is right. For yourself, you may say, maybe it was my karma, so I have to face it. But you don't start accepting that the person is right, or what he has done, the action is right. You know that action is wrong. Right? Next, we suggest that we were actually wrong instead of the other person. And fourth, we have forgotten the wrong. That's not forgiveness. We are totally free of the pain. That is not forgiveness. We are ready to act as if nothing has happened. That is not forgiveness. We are ready to associate again with the same person. That is not forgiveness. What is forgiveness? He says, forgiveness means you don't allow that person to hurt you anymore. At the same time, you don't want to take revenge from that person. You don't allow that person to hurt you anymore. But at the same time, for what that person has done in the past, you don't hate that person. You don't want to take revenge. Which means what? Forgiveness is a combination of love and respect for oneself. And at the same time, no hatred for others. Why should I let others exploit me? If I do that, I am forgetting that this body, this mind, me is a property of Krishna, not to be exploited by others, but to be enjoyed by Krishna. Isn't it? So that's the attitude, that you don't let that person again do the same thing, but you also don't want to take revenge. You don't want to take revenge, but you don't allow that person. You don't allow that person to do it again to you. The more we hold on to the anger associated with the event, the more we allow the person to repeatedly assault us. Someone may say, no, actually I can just tolerate. Not possible. Can't do that. Like I know one lady, she comes to our program in Mumbai, for the congregation program. So for 10 years, her husband has been, abusing her. For 10 years. And she has just been accepting that abuse, thinking that I'm a wife, it's my duty. For 10 years. Now, though she says, well, for me now it has become a normal thing. And I know it will go on for 20 more years. It's normal. So, though she says so, but if you look at that person, when that person talks and that person does anything, you know this person is dead by now. Dead by now means lost feelings for any. So that is not forgiveness. Means you are tolerating so much that now you have become a dead person. That's not tolerance. Right? It's not tolerance. Correct? That's a wrong understanding. So she has not been actually doing the right thing. She should have stopped the man, at the same time not hold any grudge towards that man what he has been doing. Isn't it? So that's what Maharaj is saying here, first point. Second, we no longer want to keep living in the past. That's called forgiveness. Third, we are ready to live in the present by making healthy choices. Forgetting the past. And fourth, we are ready to be always loving in nature. But we don't allow the person to exploit us again. See, that's called forgiveness. That's why Prabhupada said minor offenses. Sometimes, okay. Small thing, okay. But if it's a big thing, you can't allow it to happen again and again and again and again. Then you have to sit and discuss and let that person know now you're crossing the limit. Crossing the boundary. Now when you talk about relationships, any relationship, there will be minor offenses always. Because there will be some friction. That should be forgiven. Any relationship, husband, wife, brother, sister, friends, two devotee friends, right, serving in the same temple, same department, whatever it might be. Some friction will always be there, right? It happens sometimes. Difference of opinion, you think like this, that person thinks like that. He is also correct, you are also correct. There'll be, but those are minor offenses you forgive. It's okay. Right? But not the major ones. Then we have to sit and discuss, sort out this matter. Right? Getting it? So further he says, the spirit of love means knowing what is actually best for us, and also knowing what is best for the other person's spiritual well-being, and then doing that. It is good for my spiritual life and it is good for your spiritual life. Now, you tell me, let's say this lady comes to you and she tells you, my husband has been abusing me for the last 10 years. So if I allow him to continue to do that, everything will be normal at home, no fights, no quarrels, everything fine, externally everything okay. I just have to always, remain subservient and things will be fine. But do you think allowing that will help her in spiritual life always? No. Do you think allowing that will help him in his spiritual life?
No.
No. So here by forgiving, is it helping both of them in their spiritual life? No. So at that point, they have to dismiss. Decide. At that point, what is the best solution?
Separation.
Separate. Forgive each other. Separate. Right? That's the best solution. Now, what do you accept? At some point, Krishna made this relationship. Now, by our own karma, Krishna wants us to go away from this relationship and focus on our spiritual life. Isn't it? It's just like we so easily accept the meeting as Krishna's arrangement. So we should also, looking at the situations, accept separation as Krishna's arrangement, if that separation helps in our spiritual life. Right or wrong?
Right.
Isn't it? When we come into a relationship, if the relationship starts new, we say Krishna's mercy, we met each other. Right? But now if the situations have become like that you need to go away from each other for better spiritual life of each other, and that also should be seen as Krishna's arrangement. Krishna brought us together for us to learn something. We have learned something now. Chapter close. Right? So that's what here we have to learn. Importance of forgiveness. So he further writes, he says, people often have difficulties with gratitude because they cannot forgive. They always keep themselves in the center. But if you start keeping Krishna in the center, it will be easier to forgive. And that's why the advanced devotees can easily forgive, because they keep Krishna in the center. So I think that's where I'll end now. Any questions or comments? I can tell you one story, personal story. Want to listen to it? Personal experience, how forgiveness helps. 2020, COVID lockdown, I was at VIH teaching Bhakti Sadacara, and suddenly everything's going to shut down, we stopped the classes, right Mataji, before the course got over. And they were also in so much anxiety. She has to shift from, you were living there in the Kirtan ashram before? Yeah. So all have to shift to VIH. Mataji approached me, will you stay in VIH and look after the deities? And I said, no, alone, what I'll do, whole month, I mean, it was not even knowing this for 1 month or how long. Just living in the VIH building all by myself, and it's difficult. And she planned to shift, and I mean, Balaji and Priya Mataji also shifted. So at that time, I moved out of VIH and started living with Bhakti Charudeshna Swami Maharaj in Radhidam. Maharaj was alone, so I then started staying with him. So His Holiness Bhakti Dhir Damodar Maharaj was also living here only at that time in Chaitanya Vihar. So every day we would visit his apartment for Mangalarti, for morning Bhagavatam class, and all that would happen at his apartment. Almost like 25-30 devotees congregating at that place. Of course, that was illegal, not allowed those days for so many people to come together. But for 2 months, we had a nice family time, 20-30 people honoring prasadam together, morning to evening, just being with Maharaj. And so for me, it was difficult to be always there because I was staying here. So in the morning, I would finish my duties and go there, in the evening come back. So one day, I was preparing to leave from there, and I was carrying my mobile phone, I had an iPad, and I was also carrying some cash from Maharaj Vyas Puja. He was trying to celebrate it there. So it was around around maybe 10,000, 15,000 rupees cash, and another few stuff. So I had a side bag, and I was trying to put all this in my side bag and go. And suddenly I got a message from inside that don't do it. Go after some time. Some kind of a signal from inside. Don't go now, go after some time. But I kind of neglected that voice. And I started walking out of the door, then another voice came. Instead of taking this side bag, take the backpack. The backpack, like this laptop bag stuff, you take that because you have a lot of things, you put in there and you take that. And again I neglected the voice. So I walked out of the place and I'm going through the Chaitanya Vihar's area. So you've seen in the Chaitanya Vihar when you enter from the first gate and you walk towards little ahead and there's a park, a garden,
Yes.
right? Isn't it? So I took the turn, the left turn from there to move towards Maharaj's apartment. And it was COVID time, so it was all, the streets were all empty, no people, nothing like that. Suddenly from the opposite side, I saw a person coming on a bike. And I didn't see there were two people, I saw just one person. And they just raced, by my side, and they snatched away my bag. Snatched away my bag. So it was done with so much of force because they were at a fast speed, so the belt broke, and I had a bruise on my hand. And then I started chasing them because there was so much stuff inside, Nowadays, if you lose your phone, it's like losing your life. Because all the contacts and all the data and so much, right? And service-related information, documents. And I was chasing. Of course, how could I chase them? So I reached the police station. This police shook me. I said, this is what happened. Can you help me? I said, that person, okay, go sit on the bike. We'll chase. I said, chase what? I don't know which direction they went. Chase whom? So I said, no, we'll try. So then we chased in the direction of Sadacara and said, come on, we cannot find them like this. I hardly saw them. It was so quick. I did not even see the number plate. And I was so broken down that day. I was kind of, chastising myself. That Paramatma 2 times he told me. he gave the signal, right, that don't go now, and then said take the bag. Because if I would have taken the backpack, that person would not have been able to snatch it. But it was a side bag, fling bag. Easily you can snatch and take away. So I was feeling very sad and such a big loss. So after all this happened, then I went to Maharaj's place and I told Maharaj. Maharaj was also very sad. Then I tried very hard, went to the police station, gave the report, met the deputy commissioner here, did so many things. And we go to the lawyer, and 4 or 5 days, so much of anxiety, headache. What will happen now? This seva, that seva. Then again I met the police officer. He said, "Yours is not the first case. In the 7 days, 10 such things have happened. 10 people have been killed." So I said, why? So then he told me, actually, you see, these people are poor village people. Because of COVID, many families are not getting to eat. So because of the situation, sometimes they are forced to do such things. They may not be professional robbers or thieves. It's just a situation which might have, forced these village people that steal some money and survive in that way. So when I heard that, I became a little soft. That person didn't want to intentionally take from me. Whoever did, that person wanted to take from that person. So far, I had not forgiven that person. So far, I was thinking, this person did it to me, something should happen to him. Because I am at such a big loss. But that day I decided, good job, it's okay. My life is not anyway so much like a hell. 4 or 5 days have gone, I'm still living, managing, things are happening, none of my seva have been stopped. Just little anxiety was there, I lost my phone, I lost some money, But things are okay now, not that bad. So in my mind I just decided, forget. Maybe my karma, just accept it. You won't believe, just when that thought came, it was such a relief for the heart. That heart which was burning, that heart which was so heavy, that heart which was like lamenting why you did this, you did not listen to the voice of Paramatma, that. All gone. Immediately. All gone. No. So that much power, quality of forgiveness. All gone. And later, you know what happened? I got my Kindle. I got my iPad. Just the phone I did not get. How they got this person, and the police, because I had already met the deputy commissioner, so they went through the iPad and they saw that, you know, my email ID is there, so they wrote an email to that. Whose email ID is this? I said, it's mine from the commissioner office. So I went there, so I got my Kindle, and I got my iPad. Phone I could not get because they wanted to prove this is your phone. So I said, okay, you take the phone, no problem. But okay, I got that. So yes, it was a loss. But at the same time, when I forgave, I was free, and what I lost also, somehow it came back to me, you know. Anyway, it would have come back or not, I don't know. But by forgiving, I was at least not at so much of loss. Relieved. So that's why we have to learn this quality. It's not easy, like for me also, it was not that moment when I forgave that person. But slowly, if we have this knowledge, we can take shelter of this knowledge. Maybe for 1-2 days you'll be very angry. But then, you know, reflect. Should I forgive now? Let it go. And when you do that, it helps. It helps. Right? Any question?
Sorry, did we clear up this minor and
Yeah. But
because of the repeatedness, or
repeated, it's like minor first of all.
no other point?
And at the same time, Prabhu, it's like it should not be so bad that it actually is helping. It's making you stop your Krishna consciousness. You know? And it should also be not beyond my capacity. Like for example, if you take the example of Prahlad Maharaj, his ability to tolerate is so much more than my ability to tolerate. So he can even accept huge kinds of offenses that will not affect his Krishna consciousness. But if I am put into such situations, I'll break down. I lose
It's
my...
like Haridas Thakur, you know, he's repeated like 22 marketplaces going, repeating and still to forgive.
Because that level is very high.
Yes.
Right? But our level is not that high. For him, that 22 times was also minor.
I'm just thinking, you mentioned that the forgiveness is a little bit of a question connecting with the Krishna. Can you explain how it would be in a context of Bhagavad Gita, how the forgiveness is in the Tamaguna, Rajaguna, Sattvaguna, and devotee?
Well, then think about it for some time. Like when you say forgiveness in Tamaguna, so you have to think how it would be, examples.
No, I'm just asking, maybe you can give us example, what's the difference?
Give me some
Devotee forgiveness and Sattvaguna forgiveness. How would
Give me
it be
some
different?
time, I'll have to think.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Give me some time. It's possible. Everything is in 3 modes, so even this is possible. But then sometime I need to reflect based on how, if someone is in mode of goodness, will forgive. How someone is passionate will forgive. How someone is in modest will forgive. Right? But it's a good question. Reflect on that. Yes, just like compassion can be in goodness, passion, and ignorance. Tolerance can be in goodness, passion, and ignorance. So forgiveness can also be in compassion, goodness. Any one question?
I'm really confused about your example you gave. The lady who was abused by husband, and the solution was this, right? The solution you gave was to the.
I didn't give solution.
Anyway, you.
I said in that situation, what would be the best solution for their spiritual life? If the man wants to continue to exploit for 10, 20 more years, it's not that, okay, the person is saying, fine, for 10 years I have done the abuse, now I stop. Or I reduce. But the person is telling you, 20 years more. In that situation, what? That's my question. Let's say 10 years have gone and that person now says, okay, please, I stop. Let's have a patch up, continue together. But the situation is that person says 20 years more. After that, I leave you. In that situation, what? Continue with it. Huh?
I have a life example on this. This is very personal choices. As you said, it depends on the capacity to tolerate. It depends on so many things, how it affects the family and all. But I was fortunate enough when I was a devotee many years ago, and I met an old lady. She was like 70 plus in Switzerland. Very rare, Swiss lady. And somehow I connected. I was on a kind of a job. I used to sell vegetables on the market. I was working for an organic place. So every week we used to sell vegetables. And that's how I connected with this old lady. And somehow I became attracted to her because she was a very special kind of person. She was so saintly. And it was strange. And then I made some connection, and I went to visit her in her apartment, and I found out she was a vegetarian, which is very rare. A Swiss who was not connected to Krishna consciousness in any way. She was a vegetarian. And then one day she told me her life story. That how she was married when she was very young, like 18 or something. That was, arranged marriage. She got her married, husband and all. And he was in the army. And he had a rank, he was a captain or something. He had a rank in the army. And everything was fine. They got married, everything was beautiful. And then he got shifted to Africa, Congo or some heavy place like that. And there they had their children, and they stayed there for many years. And because of association, because it's such heavy-duty places, because of association with the other people in the army, he got into drinking, and then he became violent, and then started domestic violence. He used to come back angry, beat the kids, beat the wife, and then go to sleep. And this went on for years. And this lady was like lost. She was alone, white woman in Congo, in the middle of the jungle with the gorillas trying to jump the fence to attack the camp. It was terrible. She had her children to protect. She had no one to associate with. She was lost. And so she just tolerated the thing. And then after quite some years, he was shifted back to Switzerland. So came back to Switzerland, and it carried on. He kept drinking. He couldn't get rid of the habit, and beating and this and that. And then the children, got big and left home and got married, whatever. And then she said, and she was really thinking what to do. And one day, and I remember because it was in this apartment, was on the first floor, and there was a wooden staircase going to the apartment. And she said she used to hear him come back. He would stumble in the stairs, and she knew that
he's coming.
Now it's going to happen. And he would just stumble and open the door and start beating anything around. And then one day he came back, but the main important thing was that she was a Christian, a very faithful person, a devotee of the Lord. And all these years, what she was doing, because there was no solution. She said at that time the culture was not that you divorce. Women were not given jobs in the society, and then, and then when she was in Africa, it was out of question. Where would she go? No money, nothing. So she just prayed to God. All these years she was praying and praying and praying that, oh my Lord, he is a sinner. Please forgive him. And please, purify him, because he's going to hell. This is how she was praying. That he's going to hell with all these activities he's doing. And so she was praying and praying and praying. And she told me, one time he came back and he fell at her feet. And suddenly he had a whole change of mind, and he realized that I have given you a hellish life. All my life, all our life, I gave you a hellish life. You, the children. And he was crying and begging, please forgive me, please forgive me. From today, I will not drink and I will not do anything like that. So she was, by now, because of spending 20, 30 years praying, she was full of that. She was like, she had become a different person. She immediately forgave him. She forgave him on the spot, and she told him, I forgive you, but never do it again. And she said for 1 year, the guy was straight. For 1 year, it was fantastic. She said it was such a reward for so many years of tolerating that now he was a normal person. And then after 1 year, she heard him stumbling in the staircase, bang, 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 bang. And she said, oh no, what happened? And then he came in and he was in like that again. And he said at that time, she doesn't know what happened. She said at that time, she behaved also differently.
It's wrong.
And she told him, listen, I tolerated you for 25 years for the sake of our children. And you stopped and promised me never to do this again. Now you go to sleep. And if you do this one more time, you will never see me again. And she said, he never did it again. And they lived, and then he passed away because she was a widow.
Yeah.
You know, but what I saw from this is the saintliness of that person. Because she spent her whole life. Because instead of taking shelter in just fighting back and fighting back and building grudges and feeling miserable, of course she was suffering, but she took shelter in God. And by the end of the day, I was amazed with that person. She was so saintly. She had become a vegetarian on her own, you know, out of her saintliness. And so that's one way to deal with abuse, but it's like with Prahlad, how much can you tolerate? Many people, when they get this kind of situation, they cannot tolerate. And I wanted to bring a point on this point here, that to forgive doesn't mean not to take action. This is important to understand, that forgiveness is a matter of the heart, that you let go. You let go and you become favorable to the person that you forgive. But it doesn't mean, as you say, if it's minor offenses, you just forgive, let go, forget, you know, done. But if there are major cases of abuse which are destructive, to forgive means, yeah, you don't keep a grudge, you forgive the person, but it doesn't mean that you don't take action. You can report to the police.
Oh, yes, yes.
You can take help from someone else. You can go take help of the community. In case of domestic abuse, you approach the community, you approach the neighbors, you approach the family, you do something about it. But as it says, when you punish someone, you shouldn't do it out of malice. You should do it for the benefit of the person. So similarly, when you report abuse, you do it for the benefit of that person, not out of feeling of revenge, that you have to get revenge, you have to, not in that way. So you have to separate the forgiving, the attitude of forgiving, and the action that you take. And these two don't go together. And sometimes forgiving means that you let go, you forgive within, and you also do not punish. That's also called forgiveness, that you don't punish because you forgive. But forgiveness is not always like this. Sometimes you forgive within, but action has to be taken. Because otherwise you are perpetuating, the sins of a person, knowingly, willingly. That person is abusing here, he will abuse there, he will abuse everywhere. So you have to protect others. It's also a duty that we have to protect others. And you have to also see the good of that person. That if that person is going to hell, that the abuser is going to hell. So it is also our duty to stop that person, try, stop, to contribute to, being good to that person, means stopping them from doing what they are doing. And it can require force sometimes, because some people, you cannot change their mentality. You see with this Swiss lady, the guy, it took like 30 years to come to his senses. I don't know how she tolerated, I don't know. But then he, somehow, by the grace of God, he came to his senses. But, so we have to separate this inner forgiveness and some practical action which sometimes has to be taken.
Okay. Thank you, Mataji, from Singapore. So stop here, it's 9 o'clock. Yes?
Yes, we'll stop here. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Madhusudana Visnu, for this wonderful, deep meditation on the topic of forgiveness, which is most important. We cannot leave, it is there in the Bhagavatam, that verse, that thing, how to become the beloved of the Lord. It's actually such an important quality. One who understands that whatever happens to him is the fruit, or is the maturing of his own bad karma. And instead of reacting and starting another cycle, as you said, you should forgive. You should forgive, and not just you should forgive, but you should understand that the culprit is you. And instead of cursing others, you should not ask that person that he should please forgive, that he should ask you to forgive him. No, you should beg for forgiveness yourself. You should beg for forgiveness for the unknown person that you have offended. You should beg for forgiveness to the Lord for being such a rascal. Because anyone who suffers is the reaction of sins. Therefore, we are the rascal. And this is so difficult to understand, so difficult. As soon as we suffer, we point the finger, but the person who is giving the suffering is only an instrument. It's not the actual cause. The root is my own sinful mentality, that I have caused trouble to others. And because of that, I am getting trouble. So the actual rascal is me. And we also have to separate the accounts, my account and the offender's account. I am 100% responsible for what happens to me. It's not that he is responsible for my suffering, no. And it's difficult to understand, but at least something is responsible. No. I am 100% responsible for what happens to me. But at the same time, the person who offends me is 100% responsible for what he is doing. It's two different accounts, And I'll suffer and enjoy according to my account, and he will suffer and enjoy according to his account. It is difficult to come to that understanding. And the process of forgiveness will take us to that understanding. You have to go through all these to forgive. Especially, minor offenses is nothing. But when somebody does something really big in your life, or you have an accident, or somebody bangs your car and all your kids are killed, how do you forgive? And to go through this process, it will take you very, very deep within your consciousness, and it will cut the karmas. It will destroy all the karmas. So it's out of all the qualities. If you take Christianity, this is the first commandment.
Okay.
Just understand. In Christianity, this is the first commandment. You shall forgive. And it's a very tall commandment. Because to forgive, you have to tolerate, you have to be humble. So many things.
Patient.
You have to be patient. So many things. You have to be compassionate. And you have to have a very deep understanding, and you have to be connected with the Lord. It's very difficult to forgive unless you have a shelter yourself, you know. And then it says also, you know, do not do to others what you wouldn't like to be done to you. We expect forgiveness. Oh, please forgive me, forgive me, forgive me. We go around like that all the time. We expect forgiveness when others offend us. Get lost. So this is this point of forgiving offenses, and we would say it is the same in the Vaishnavism. The first offense to the Holy Name, to Sastri, the devotee, is like this. You know, you have to forgive. You cannot just So this is out of all the qualities. This one involves many other qualities, and it is like a prerequisite according to the Bhagavata. If you want to inherit the kingdom of God, you have to forgive. If you cannot forgive, there is no entrance in the kingdom of God. Because you keep, if you don't forgive, means you are still envious. There's that envy, and no envious person can enter the kingdom of God. So it's very, very deep. Forgiveness is very, very deep. And one who can forgive, he has come very close to Krishna. So we all have to really work on that and develop the quality of forgiveness.
Yes, thank you, Mataji.
Hari Hari.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, wishing everyone a wonderful, auspicious day. And please propagate the glories of the value classes to the other who always manage to miss. Are being bereft of this fantastic opportunity to transform themselves. These are transformational classes. I don't know how foolish they are not to come. So please propagate the glories.
We should next time have a topic, the first topic, not be foolish. Coming out of foolishness, first value class.
Yeah, that would be intelligent. That's also a quality. Be intelligent. We had sincerity. That was a good topic in the beginning. So it's such a, the value classes have been here like wonderful experience. Every time we discuss whatever quality is like so churning and so valuable. Very valuable. All right, thank you, Madhusudana.
Thank you,
Prabhu.
Mataji.
Hari Hari.
Hare Krishna.
Shri Radha Govinda ki.
Jai.